Good evening. It is about 4 o'clock in the morning where I am right now, and I have nothing to do, and I thought it would be a cool idea to kind of just do a rundown of the videos I've made this year. I think I made 15 editorials, 2 top 10s, hopefully even 4 by year's end, maybe most likely 3, and 7 episodes of Gaming Scadventures, along with a bunch of miscellaneous videos. You know, just random stuff for no reason, just to kind of pad the channel out and give people something to look at in the meantime while I work on the big stuff. But I thought it'd be cool to just go through kind of video by video and just talk about the thought process behind them and how I made them and why I made them and stuff. So I guess we're going to start with regarding Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 and 2. I made 2 videos on Dragon Ball Xenoverse, and they were my first editorials of the year after the Dishonored one I made in December, and I made these 2 specifically. I made the first one, and I was happy with it. I was really happy with all the stuff I said, and I had a few kind of, like, errors. I had only played the game for, like, maybe 20 hours at that point, something like that, 15 maybe. I didn't really understand fully all the concepts that the game had, so I made a few tiny errors. So I felt the need to go back and make a part 2, and kind of talk about other stuff that I didn't talk about in that first video, because that game is full of so many weird fucking decisions. Like, I don't know who designed that game, but it's very weird. You can tell it's on a budget, and you can tell it's kind of small in a lot of areas, including the hub world especially. But yeah, I did. The reason I made those videos, the reason I sat down and made 25 minutes of fucking Dragon Ball Xenoverse content is because I do really enjoy the game. Like I said in the videos, I hadn't played any Dragon Ball games until this one for like fucking years. So it kind of got me back into Dragon Ball as a whole, just making these videos and playing Xenoverse. Like, now I'm caught up on Super and I know what's going on there, and I had no clue beforehand. So yeah, like the past 9 months ever since I made those videos, I've been back into Dragon Ball Z for the first time since I was like fucking 13 years old or some shit, and it's a good time. I really love Dragon Ball. But yeah, I think I pretty much said all that needed to be said in those videos, and they have like no views and will probably never get any views because fucking Fighters is coming out soon, and everybody's gonna be talking about Fighters from then on. Xenoverse, I'm not even sure if the Xenoverse series is going to continue after Fighters, because people are so hyped about that one. So next up is the Gaming Scadventures episode, Hunting with Fun Labs, and that's when me and Jacob played the Duck Dynasty game and the fucking one of the Cabela games, one of the 50,000 goddamn Cabela games that are out there. We'd wanted to play Duck Dynasty for a long time. Specifically, Jacob wanted to play Duck Dynasty for a long time. He was so ready for that shit. And then when we finally did it, he didn't even have, like, anything to say. We were both just sitting there fucking baffled as shit. That's why the video is only, like, 8 minutes and 48 seconds, because we had, like, probably, like, an hour and a half, 2 hours of footage, maybe. And, by the way, that's usually the amount of footage we have for Gaming Scadventures episodes. We have, like, we play each game probably for, like, an hour or an hour and a half each, and I usually cut it down to between 8 and 15 minutes, like, just to cut the best of the best out there. And this one's like 8 minutes 48 seconds because half of our 2 hours of footage is just us sitting there like, what? and I couldn't make a video at all. That shit. But I think what we did get was pretty goddamn great. I love the beaver killing montage where you literally kill like fucking 50 goddamn beavers. Why are there so many goddamn beavers? And why are we killing every single one of them? Good God. But yeah, no, I think that's a pretty funny episode. I don't think it's maybe one of the best of season 3. I think season 3 is packed with a lot of really funny episodes of Gaming Scadventures. And I think in the end, this one probably could have been better if we were more on our game that night. But I still think it's really fucking funny. Especially, and originally we wanted a different Cabela game to be that second one. That's kind of why that one's shorter. Because we wanted originally the Two Best Friends game, the one that they played on Two Best Friends in like season 3 or some shit. It was one of their finales. It was like the one where you get chased by the super-powered bear. I'm just going to play that clip real quick, because I think it's hilarious.
Go, fuck. Run!
Oh, fuck!
Fuck, no, he's coming! He's over there!
Oh, God,
What the shit? No!
No!
He's coming! Get him!
What is happening?
Alright, moving on to why the world needs a new Time Splitters game. This one, I think, next to the Captain America Gaming Skadventures and Who the Fuck is Venom Snake, I think this one is the most viewed video on the channel, which is pretty cool, and I kind of expected that, because I know a lot of motherfuckers love Time Splitters, except nobody ever talks about the series, because it's like over a decade old, but I know people love that shit, and I think over the course, maybe the next year, I don't know, maybe that video will catch on at some point, but I'm really happy with the Time Splitters video. I think I said everything I needed to say about that one, and I think I really got out there, like, just how much I fucking adore that series, and all the good stuff about it. One thing, while I was making that video, for some reason, in the decade, over a decade that I've been a fan of this series, like, I was not aware that Free Radical was made up of people that, like, the people who made GoldenEye, like, the predecessor to every first-person shooter you are playing today, GoldenEye. The guys who made Time Splitters made fucking GoldenEye! Like, I didn't even know that. I had no clue, and I'm kind of ashamed of that, because, like, you know, people in the comments are constantly like, it's good because it's made by the fucking guys who made GoldenEye, you dummy. And so, yeah, that's there, that's new, I didn't know that, and that's, like, super amazing and totally makes sense, because, like, of course it's gonna be awesome. They made fucking GoldenEye. You can even see, like, the HUD on the screen, like, when you get shot, it's, like, totally just the GoldenEye HUD. So, yeah, one last thing about the Time Splitters video. Nearly every comment I get, not nearly every comment I get, but let's say 20% of the comments I get are comments on the, I think, literally 3% of the video. I talk about it for, I think, less than 30 seconds. But when I talk about how women are kind of objectified in the series, and all the time these little baby bitch motherfuckers come on this video, and you can tell that they just got to that part because they're like, fuck you and your fucking politics, SJW boy. It's ridiculous. It's kind of infuriating, but I think it's just funny at this point, because clearly these people cannot handle any kind of even basically serious conversation. Like it just makes them uncomfortable, and it makes their tiny little dicks shrivel back inside their bodies, and then they have to comment about it. But yeah, I don't know why most of the comments, or a lot of them, are about that, but fuck all those people. They can just get off the fucking channel right now. Next up, we got the Gaming Skadventures episode called Purposeless Rabbitholes Gives Up, which I think is pretty apt. I think Jacob says that at one point in the middle of the episode. This whole episode was just a series of terrible, terrible coincidences that originally this episode was going to be a Tom Clancy episode. It was going to be fucking Rainbow Six Vegas 2 and Splinter Cell Conviction, and we were going to do like co-op in Splinter Cell Conviction, and it would have been so good, oh my god. But eventually I couldn't find a copy of Conviction anywhere. Like, no stores around my place had it, and we just wanted to make this video soon, so I picked up Resident Evil 6 in its place, and this was back, we'll get to the Resident Evil video soon, but this is back when I thought Resident Evil 6 was just about the worst goddamn thing on the planet. Like, I was amongst those people who despised Resident Evil 6 and thought it was just the biggest fucking piece of shit that you could find steaming on the sidewalk. So I bought Vegas 2 and Resident Evil 6, so we could have one fun, good co-op game and another terrible co-op game. But as you can see in the video, I opened the box that I got at GameStop for Resident Evil, and there was just fucking nothing in it! There was nothing in it! They sold me! I paid $6 for a totally empty box. And I didn't get my refund because I didn't care. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't want to go back and say, hey, you guys didn't give me Resident Evil 6 for Xbox 360. So I just fucking lost the $6, and we just kept making the video. So we played Vegas. We played Vegas, and that crashed. hard crashed the entire system. And then so next up, we ended up playing after Vegas. Since we didn't have fucking Conviction and we didn't have Resident Evil 6, we just went onto Keenan's hard drive. Keenan is one of the guys on Game Adventures. You see him in a few episodes, like the one coming up next. But we had his Xbox, and we're fucking, let's just check what's on his Xbox. Let's just play some shit. And so we ended up playing Dark Souls, which I guess is great because that's one of my favorite games of all time, and it led to a few minutes of ridiculous fun. But yeah, it's called Purposeless Rabbitholes gives up because we literally just fucking gave up by the end. Next up is the Game Adventures episode of Final Fantasy 15. This is another one featuring Keenan. And I think this one's fucking hilarious. I really like this one. It is 11 minutes, I think. Yeah, it's a little past 10 minutes, and I think the ones around, between 8 and 12, 13 minutes are usually the best ones. But yeah, no, we just sat down and played Bro Simulator 2017 or 2016 or whatever, and had a great ass time. Keenan had all his pre-orders on display, so he had played through that game already, like completely, I think like 100%. So he just had a bunch of checkpoints that he made before we made the video. We told him we were making a Final Fantasy video, and he was like, "Oh fuck yeah, I got all kinds of shit to show you guys." And so he made a bunch of checkpoints at I think 4 places throughout the game, and we just went to those and just saw all the crazy shit he had to show us. It was great. That's a really funny episode. I love the way it ends with him just he's got this whole intense monologue. "Yeah, we got this fucking plate," and then it just hits a railing, bursts into flames, and flies off into the sunset. I think it's a fucking perfect ending. But yeah, that was a really good one. The next episode, and it's not an episode, it's a editorial. The next editorial on display is Will The Last of Us Part 2 Ruin the Ending of The Last of Us? So, I made this video kind of because I just wanted to make a short video. I hadn't ever really made an editorial less than 5 minutes at that point, and this one's 3 minutes and 38 seconds. It's a really short video, but it's for a topic that doesn't really, need a whole bunch of elaboration, so I thought it'd be good. I was, I think on spring break at that point, and that is when I made this one, the Last of Us video, and Who the Fuck is Venom Snake. I think I made both of those, and within the span of a few days of each other. But yeah, this Last of Us video, it was short, it was sweet, to the point, just wanted to make something talking about The Last of Us because I hadn't made anything regarding The Last of Us yet, and it's one of my favorite games fucking ever of all times. And yeah, I still kind of stand by. I don't know how they're going to follow up The Last of Us, man. That game's a game of a generation. That's almost the game of a lifetime. No other game has given me the feeling that last ending scene gives me, or the giraffe scene gives me, or the fucking cabin scene. Oh, that cabin scene fucking brings me to tears almost every goddamn time. Such fantastic acting. Oh, Jesus Christ. And I recently learned that all the facial animation, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but all the facial animation in that game was hand done and not tracked. Their bodies were motion captured, but their faces and their facial animation was done by artists just recreating their expressions on set. And if that is the case, god damn, those animators are great. So moving on to Who the Fuck is Venom Snake? This seems to be kind of the fastest rising video on the channel at the moment. I get a new comment on it every day or two. And it seems to go up in views 100 a day at this point, which is fucking really cool. But yeah, and I guess that's to be expected because it's a fucking Metal Gear Solid video. Everybody loves Metal Gear Solid. Everybody wants to talk about the Phantom Pain. And everybody wants to know about Venom Snake because he's a weird ass motherfucker. This video for me was a long time coming. Because once I finished the Phantom Pain, I was just I felt empty inside. I felt a phantom fucking pain that I could not get rid of. And this video is kind of almost cathartic for me to just talk about Venom Snake and try to do a little bit of research and dive into his character. But the catalyst for this video, and the topic of who the fuck is Venom Snake was when I found, when somebody on Reddit, I think, posted their, it was G-Boon on SoundCloud, I believe, who posted a bunch of Kiefer Sutherland lines that had been cut from the game that he just found in the code, Venom Snake dialogue. And the more I listened to the dialogue, the more I heard, like, okay, who is he talking to right now when he's saying these lines? Because it doesn't sound like a conversation with Kaz, it doesn't sound like a conversation with Ocelot. And then I realized that all these pause scenes have, like, gaps in them. Like, she says something and she waits, and then she says something and then she waits. And I swear to fucking God, man, when I got these audio clips and cut them down to exactly size, like the exact size that they should be, without any dead space, once I dropped those fucking lines into the pause scenes, they fit like Legos. I'm fucking telling you. Like, it like, and I'm sure I missed a few lines in there and misplaced them, but like, whoo! That shit fit in perfectly. And it was weird to look at in the end, and I just feel like it looks proper. It looks kind of real because you don't see Venom's face throughout those whole scenes, so you just hear his voice. But yeah, no, I think it's just really interesting to look at. Plus, Keenan and Jacob get featured in the video, which is always great. Next up is comparing Resident Evil 6 and Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. So this one, I think, might be my favorite editorial of mine. It's 21 minutes, which is the second longest editorial, I believe. And I just think it's funny as fuck. I just think I make a lot of really good-ass jokes. I spend a lot of time on my jokes. Like, I will sit down. These videos usually, the process of making these videos is usually, like, I come up with an idea, like, comparing Resident Evil 6 to Resident Evil 7. I had recently played both games, so, like, that's usually what happens. I play a game, and then I get an idea for a video for it. So I'd recently finished playing these two games, and I just wanted to make a video about Resident Evil 6, but I just finished Resident Evil 7, so why not combine them? So I did just that, and I think it ended up pretty fucking cool. The video itself was also kind of inspired by Ragnarok's video, an hour-long, fantastic video about why he thinks Resident Evil 7 is like a masterpiece. I can't say I agree with all of his points after playing the whole game myself, but it's a fucking amazing video, and you should just always go check out Ragnarok's. He's always got something good going. But the other video that inspired this was the Gaming Brit Show. He did an episode of his little thing on why Resident Evil 6 is awesome, and that is what caused me to finally go and play Resident Evil 6 and finally give it a chance after so many years of just ragging on it like it was fucking trash. And I swear to God, when I finally fucking played through that game, I fell in love with it. That shit was so hammy and funny and self-aware and ridiculous, and the gameplay is really good. Like the addition of a dodge button while aiming is something that I haven't seen any other cover shooters like actually do, and it's really useful in gameplay and makes the gameplay seem much cooler and smoother than any other Resident Evil game by my standards, I guess. But either way, yeah, really happy about that. And the Gaming Brit himself came to that fucking video and said, good video, or like funny, I think he said funny video, and like that just made my dick hard. It was great. It was so cool. It was, oh my God. Oh, I'm smiling just thinking about it. I doubt he watched the whole video, but if he did, like, hey, that's fucking amazing. Next up, we got Whatever Happened to Good Kid, that one's hard to say. Whatever Happened to Good Kids Games. I always want to say Whatever Happened to Good Kids Games, and add like an S to every little fucking of the last three words. But so Jacob pre-ordered Yooka-Laylee. Jacob funded Yooka-Laylee on motherfucking Kickstarter or whatever the shit that game was propositioned on. And so when he got it, he experienced a little bit of disappointment. So he wanted to make a video about that real bad, and we'd also been making jokes about Knack for years at this point. Like, why was Knack even made? Like, this is a launch title for your console, Knack? You guys don't got a Knack for nothing! But, yeah, we just combined those two games, and they ended up being a pretty solid episode. This one's like 16 minutes. This is a long episode, and I think it's worth the length. I think every long episode of Gaming Scat Adventures is worth it. So, you know, or otherwise I would have kept it at 8 to 10 minutes. But yeah, I think there's a lot of funny jokes in that one. And now we're at Gaming Scat Adventures, our Injustice 2 episode. This is right after the game came out. This was like probably 2 weeks after the game came out. we wanted to originally do a like midnight launch episode where, because me and Keenan are huge fans of the original Injustice, and Keenan loves the Mortal Kombat games and kind of fighting games in general. So we wanted to do a midnight premiere episode where we would both get copies of Injustice and like play each other like for the first time ever Injustice 2, like, but we couldn't do that because it's fucking college, and they were on their last quarters at that point, and I am moving into my last quarter, so, you know, like, we just didn't have the time. Either way, we did get together and did finish up filming a Injustice 2 video, and it was fucking dope. I think it's a really good one. There were actually, I think there were some audio issues when we were, like, editing it, like, because it's really hard to capture 4 people, like, around this tiny little computer mic. We don't even have a microphone, guys. We record the audio off Jacob. We record our audio off of Jacob's motherfucking computer. So, like, that's why the audio is pretty shit sometimes. Like, originally we had a snowball mic that we would use to record our episodes, but that ended up causing so many fucking problems because we would, like, place it on a bed, because we're just sitting on a bed and fucking playing video games. And the thing would get disconnected all the fucking time, and we would lose half our audio, and then the episode would just be shit and not even finishable. So we just ended up starting to use Jacob's computer mic, because that shit isn't gonna break. But yeah, and then this episode is also kind of like a makeup for the Mortal Kombat X episode that we were never able to get out. That's what happened with that episode. We had the snowball mic, and the snowball mic just got unplugged like 20 minutes into recording, and so we had nothing to work with. But actually, you can see the only living remnant of the Mortal Kombat episode during Alex's first introduction, like in his first introduction video when he says, "Fuck you, Jacob!" Like, that's from our Mortal Kombat episode. Yeah, I think he says, "I'm the Mortal Kombat god, fuck you, Jacob." So, that's the only... There was a lot of that going on. There was a lot of screaming and shouting and "fuck you!" It would have been a really, like, intense episode. It was more intense than when we played Injustice together, because really none of us knew how to play Mortal Kombat, and as opposed to me and Keenan, who were both kind of at least okay at Injustice, and it was just like not a fair fight every time I fought Jacob or Keenan fought Alex. It was just like a goddamn, it was a goddamn, some kind of simile. Next up are the Top 10 Forgotten Gems Volume 3. So this was my first Top 10 of the year, I believe. Usually, I tried to keep them coming out at a clip of like once every other month. I did that in 2016, and I think I got 7 out, which is, one more than once every other month? Which is pretty cool. Kept up with a good schedule there. But this year, the editorials kind of replaced the top 10s in you know, my priorities, because I had a lot more fun making the editorials, personally. I'm still going to be making top 10s, but they'll probably come at less of a clip, once every, 4 or 5 months, maybe. But they'll probably also be longer than they were originally, not 10 to 12 minutes, more like 20 to 25. And that just seems to be what's happening with my videos. The more I make them, the more I continue doing this shit, the longer these videos are getting, because I'm becoming more confident in saying just a whole bunch of shit that I want to say, which is good, and it could be bad, though, because I don't want my videos to, like, drag the fuck on, so I'm trying to keep it at, like, a nice happy medium. Either way, Forgotten Gems Volume 3 is, I think, probably my best top 10. I'm not sure if I said that already, but it's my favorite top 10, at least. I think pretty much every entry on here is funny. I think everything I say here is pretty funny and relevant to the games I'm talking about. In case you hadn't noticed, that's what I try to do here. I try to be funny. I usually fail, but when I do succeed, I'm pretty happy with it. Speaking of succeeding at being funny, I like to think that this next video, The Epic Tale of Super Monkey Ball 2, is pretty fucking hilarious. So this video, it kind of relates back to the Forgotten Gems video I just talked about, but I did a section in Forgotten Gems Volume 3 about Super Monkey Ball, and originally I was going to talk about the gameplay of the series, but as I perused YouTube for footage to just refresh my mind on Monkey Ball and shit, I came across the edited Super Monkey Ball 2 movie on YouTube, and it is 30 minutes long, and if you have the time, please watch that shit, cause it is fucking insane! It's fucking insane and hilarious. And I just, like, the bit I did in the Forgotten Gems episode is basically, like, me recounting part of the plot of Super Monkey Ball 2, and I think it might be the best bit in that whole Forgotten Gems, cause it's just so absurd and nonsensical. But my buddy Grayson, you can actually see Grayson in a video way back in like the 5th video of the channel or some shit, when I was making videos with Luigi, who I'm going to be hanging out with soon, a day or two, back in town in Dallas. But you can see Grayson in one of those videos. I think it's me, Grayson, and Jordan playing Dark Souls 2. I think that's on the channel. But it would be under the PR show, way at the bottom. But yeah, this epic tale of Super Monkey Ball 2 was inspired by Grayson, who texted me after watching the Forgotten Gems Forgotten Gems Volume 3. He hit me up, and he said that his favorite part of the video was the Super Monkey Ball video. So that inspired me to actually take that like 3-minute chunk and turn it into a full 10-minute video breaking down the entire plot, the entire insane plot of Super Monkey Ball 2. So, and like, this all happened over the course of, like 2-3 days, where I would just watch 5 minutes, write all of my thoughts on everything that happened, watch another 5 minutes, write all my thoughts, watch another 5 minutes, and eventually it just came out as this weird 10-minute warped odyssey of this, like, game that makes no goddamn sense at all through my eyes. So it's basically just me recounting Super Monkey Ball 2 in my own fucked up way. Like, you'd never think that a recounting of the Super Monkey Ball 2 story would come with, like, rape jokes, but they're in there, man. I don't even make the rape jokes. The game makes the rape jokes. Moving on to my thoughts on E3 2017. So, this one, it's a good video. It's probably not my favorite editorial, probably almost my least favorite editorial, because you can see in the corner of the screen every time a new game pops up, it's like the title like fades in, and that's an iMovie thing. That's a default iMovie fade in this title kind of thing, and I hate using those things. It just makes me feel like a lazy motherfucker. I like to go into Adobe After Effects and add all my like pop-in text that way, which takes a long motherfucking time on my old ass computer. Because I edit on a Mac. I edit on my old-ass Mac using iMovie, which is, like, the worst idea for a YouTube editor, because it's a slow-ass computer and iMovie crashes all the goddamn time. But I've become so well-versed in iMovie's way that I can do anything I need with it. And I'm more of a linear editor as opposed to a non-linear editor, so I tried to go into, Premiere, and I can use Premiere and Avid and all that kind of shit, but I don't know, I just prefer linear editing, where you start at the beginning and you end at the end. But yeah, back to thoughts on E3 2017. A lot of my thoughts have remained the same about a lot of these games, but a few have changed. I'm more excited for, fucking Fighter Z at this point. I keep calling it Dragon Ball Fighter Z, because the Z is huge at the end of Fighters, so I either want to say Dragon Ball Fighters, or not that, that's the correct way to say it. I either want to say Dragon Ball Fighter Z, or Dragon Ball Fighter Z. So, like, I don't know. Why not just Dragon Ball Z Fighters with an S at the end? I don't know. I'm more hyped for that than I was before, definitely, because I had no clue at the time, but it's being made by fucking Arc System. So, that's great. They're a great fighting game company. And I'm sure they'll produce something that's at least worthy of your time. I was more into Wolfenstein than I thought I would be in this video. I had a lot of fun with Wolfenstein 2 when I gave it, I think I gave it half a fuck in this video. So yeah, we'll see how all the other games end up on that list. I still think God of War is kind of going to be dumb. Alright, so Gaming Scadventures Sony Shooter Shit Show. This is a video that had really no, preparation. We kind of just picked 2 random shooter games and we're just, let's just do these. And technically, it's the last episode ever filmed of Gaming Scadventures. So, kind of an unceremonious send-off to the series, but it is still a pretty good episode, so I'm happy with that. Jacob had, I think he bought Order 1886 on a sale for like $3, so we didn't have to spend too much money on that one. Don't worry about us. We're doing okay. And then we played, this was the same month that Drawn to Death was like the free PSN game, so we just decided to give that a shot, and that was so terrible. That was so bad. How was that so bad? Alright, next up is the final episode ever produced of Gaming Scadventures, the Lost Superhero episode. This is made up from footage of, I think fucking 2015 or something, years ago, literally years ago. So yeah, I'm sure you can tell by the fact that my voice is a little bit higher in that video. It's it was kind of weird going back in time to hear that. It was also weird going back in time and sifting through the footage. Me and Jacob, because we got so bored playing Iron Man, after a certain point we just started talking about the MCU and just random shit. And this was before fucking Age of Ultron came out. So half of this video of this footage is dedicated to us like saying like, oh man, Ultron is totally gonna turn into a giant monster in that third act. That's why they're not showing the third act yet, man. That's why they're not showing it in the trailers. He's gonna turn into a giant Ultron. All the little tiny Ultrons are gonna turn into one giant one, or some crazy shit like that, and it's gonna be the Avengers versus a giant robot monster. And that would have been way better than Age of Ultron. I'm telling you right now. But it was, I don't know, it's just weird going back and seeing how fucking wrong we were. But yeah, I think that's I love the thumbnail is that moment when Tony Stark walks in on like Pepper Potts being helped up by CG Jeff Daniels, and the look on his face is just too perfect. Next up is Faint Praise, an angry critique of Prey. I made this video pretty much out of pure white hot rage, because I don't know, this video probably came out like 3 weeks after Prey came out or something, maybe a month. And when I first bought Prey, I bought Prey day one because I thought, hey, it's fucking Arcane. They haven't been really advertising the game very much, but it's fucking Arcane, so it's obviously gonna be good, at the very least playable. And it was not even playable for 2 weeks. That game literally did not function. I paid $60 on release night to play this fucking game that crashed on my ass for 2 weeks, 15 hours into the experience. So I was pretty goddamn angry. But in retrospect, I think I probably should have spent a little bit more time on this video. I'm kind of disappointed with how it turned out. I'm not 100% disappointed. I still think it's a pretty good video, but there are certain moments in there where I just say stuff that's kind of wrong, like how most of the powers are mines. Like, that's not true. Only 2 of the powers are mine. So I wish I'd gone through that script one more time and just polished it up a little bit more to make my arguments more concise and make more sense. But I think that's kind of the worst example of me fucking up so far, so if that's the worst that I've done, I don't know, could be worse. Why the world needs a new prototype game. Okay, so this one I'd been wanting to make for a long time, just like the Time Splitters video. Prototype is one of my favorite games of all time, and like years ago when I was making videos with Luigi on my old ass channel, you can see a few of those videos way at the bottom of this channel called the PR Show. I want to get that going with him again sometime soon if I can. This prototype video was made because I always wanted to make a prototype episode of the PR Show with Luigi, and we never did, so I always wanted to make a Gaming Scadventures episode with prototype with Jacob, and we never did. So finally, I just decided, fuck it! I'm just gonna make a video and just talk about this goddamn game. And that is what this video is, just me kind of ranting about Prototype for 15 minutes and how much I love it. It was fun to make, and I originally considered making it like, kind of like including the whole Prototype 2 thing that I included in a later video in this one, but I decided not to, because I just wanted to keep it more focused on the original game and how much I adore that shit. Comparing Dishonored and Dark Messiah. Okay, well, so I made this game when I recently played Dark Messiah on my kind of new semi-competent gaming laptop, which is great. First time I've ever had one, and it is so mind-blowing to have a computer that can actually play games for like the first time in my life. So I played Dark Messiah on it, and that's kind of what I do. I kind of just play games and then make videos about whatever game it is I am playing. But as I was playing Dark Messiah, I started to notice crazy comparisons between, of course, Dishonored and Dark Messiah, because they're both made by Arcane, and I just never realized how similar they really were. And it was really weird thinking back to my friend when he had that game as a kid, and like I was watching him play Proto Dishonored. It's just super weird. But yeah, I also just think Dark Messiah is like a whole fuck ton of fun, and I just want to spread the word as best I could. I've been seeing more people post videos about Dark Messiah lately. I don't know why, but it seems like Dark Messiah is kind of having a little resurgence. People are realizing what it is and going back and playing it again, which is really fucking cool. So here we go with the microtransactions video. This was made right when the Michael Forgey stuff with Shadow of War was happening, and the video is out of date now because WB changed the whole stipulation on the charity event, and they made it so that all proceeds were going to the Forgey family, which is great. That's wonderful, but it doesn't change the fact that they did that in the first place. So I just wanted to make a video about how terrible microtransactions are and how they're ruining the industry, because everybody needs to talk about that at some point. I feel like if you're into video games and you want video games to stay as great as they are and as great as they can be, I think it's important to discuss fucking microtransactions and how they're fucking the worst goddamn thing ever. But that's really it. It's 10 minutes. It's kind of short. It kind of just sums up my thoughts and feelings on the matter, which is fuck them. So, moving on. Charlie's top 10 gaming disappointments. Man, I wanted to make this video for a long-ass time. But, it took a fucking, million years to come out. I was working on this video for, a month and a half or something, because right when I started making it, and right when I hit up Steve, the guy who's featured in the video, on YouTube to talk about doing a collaboration, my girlfriend got, hella sick, and was, in the hospital for, multiple times. It was just terrible. A lot of stuff was going on, and then I got back to college, and we started doing all our stuff again. We were running from a goddamn hurricane at the time as well. I think it was, whatever hurricane was 3 months ago around Savannah, Georgia. But yeah, it was a lot of fucking fucked up shit happening. My girlfriend's doing better now, which is great. She's the love of my life. She's the most wonderful person in the world, and helps me make a lot of the jokes on this channel. She writes, she doesn't personally write the stuff, but she says a lot of really goddamn hilarious things that I cannot help but use in my videos, and she knows that, and she appreciates it, and she's the best. But yeah, this top 10 gaming disappointments episode was a long time coming, basically. And thank you, Steve, for putting up with all the fucking delays, just so many delays. But in the end, we put it out at the time until, 2 weeks ago. It was the longest video ever made on the channel, which is really badass. I think it's full of a lot of good jokes. I think it's full of a lot of good commentary. Steve's story about Halo 4, I think, is really good, and just, everything he contributed to the video is fucking fantastic. I love both his bits. So yeah, I think this one was a pretty big success. I still think the Forgotten Gems Volume 3 is just funnier at a base level and just more entertaining moment to moment. I again wish I'd spent a bit more time on this disappointments top 10, because there are moments where when I go back and watch it, I just see little things where I could have said something there, or I could have added in a graphic or a weird little funny effect. But yeah, overall, I think this one's really good. Shadow of Awkward Design Decisions is more on now. So this one got 800 views or some shit in a day, which was mind-blowing for me as someone with 300 fucking subscribers. I posted it on the Shadow of War subreddit and expected nothing but endless downvotes, and it got fucking 80 upvotes and 90 comments or some shit. A lot of comments, and it promoted a lot of great discussion about the mechanics and design of Shadow of War outside of the microtransactions. And that's what I really wanted to do with this video. I wanted to make a video that wasn't all about the microtransactions and the market. I wanted to make a video about the stuff that was actually wrong with the game. And there's a lot of it. It's kind of sad, but Shadow of War, in the end, just doesn't give me that same feeling that Shadow of Mordor did. I think Shadow of Mordor, in the end, is the game that I prefer, which is so sad, because this game was such a long time coming. But yeah, I'm happy with this video. It's the only other editorial besides the Last of Us one that's less than 5 minutes, mostly because I A, didn't have a whole lot to say, and B, kind of just wanted to get the video out quick while Shadow of War was still on people's minds. And of course that means it gets more views, because fucking people who stick with the trends and actually make videos all those Cuphead videos that came out a month ago, millions of views and shit, which is great and smart. It's a very smart idea. It's not really usually what I do. I kind of just make videos about stuff that I give a shit about, weird stuff, I don't know, Resident Evil 6, Or I got a new video coming up in probably it'll probably be up by the time this video's up too. I'm making a video on a 2004 free radical game called Second Sight that nobody really fucking seems to know anything about. I'm really excited to share that one. So let's move on to the last video I'm going to talk about today, because it's scary, an Outlast 2 analysis. So I made this video because after finishing Outlast 2, me and my girlfriend both looked at each other like, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? And we discussed this game for days. Not because the story is really interesting and promotes discussion about its ambiguous themes, but because it makes no goddamn sense and is full of a bunch of themes that are never that never coalesce together to produce anything meaningful. And we were just talking about for days on days, just making jokes and having hilarious conversations about how ridiculous this game gets for no good goddamn reason. I just felt this like ghostly compulsion to make that Outlast 2 video, and it is the longest editorial on the channel, and it is also the longest video on the channel, not counting the fucking Injustice 2 Watchtower stream compilation, which is something I was doing for Reddit for a while. Every week or so, when NetherRealm would do a new Watchtower stream to break down a new character for Injustice 2, I would add that to an ever-increasing compilation of all the characters' breakdowns, which is pretty cool. People seem to appreciate it. I kind of stopped just like immediately after the game came out because the game was fucking out, and I wanted to play some goddamn Injustice. I guess that's really all I have to say about my videos in 2017. If anybody's interested, I can do this next year, probably. I probably will anyway, because fuck it, might as well, why not?